Welcome back. Still journalist hangouts, and we are looking at the attack on customs information and the looters on looting spree across the country. A civil defense, the civil defense actually dismissed an officer for that looting. When you saw the visual of that, do you think that is not too harsh?
It's not harsh at all. He was putting on the uniform. He was representing the civil defense. And whatever he did in that place was like the civil defense doing it. I think the man, if you also saw the video clips when he was trying to take it, you could see that there was a time he stopped. He was being careful too, and he put it on the ground. Then, yes, he moved. And as he was moving, the people were saying, "Officer, officer." Even you. That is the meaning. Even you. So, I mean, that's to. I think it's
at that level.
At that it shouldn't have with the uniform. No.
He put the service to shame.
Yeah.
By that conduct and. Yeah. They did the right thing. They did the right thing to let him go.
Some will argue that people that have been looting our money, billions and everything, that they are not always punished.
Well, that's not an excuse to now become a looter yourself. If you are going through that route, then there's no need for government.
Yes.
We will just become animals and do whatever we want. I think what they did to him was basically to set an example. Just like that officer in the other clip that we're going to watch. It's also an example of what the officer is representing when it comes to his service. We need to be more assertive when it comes to people at this level. And what they did was the right thing.
There is no religion that permits looting and whatever, guys. Even if you felt that what was kept there, it was your right to take it.
Process, yeah.
It is impermissible to go into a place and then take it. That Islam, for example, does not permit that. In the Hadith, there are different examples, even where questions were asked, should I do this, should I do that? Any action in itself that can promote violence, that can lead to violence, Islam discourages it. So even if you felt that those palliatives should have been given to you, Islam does not permit you to go and take it. And there are many authorities like Abdullah bin Masud, the messenger of Allah, who said clearly that you cannot behave in the manner that we have seen our people behave across the country. You know, taking, breaking into government warehouses, and private houses, and stealing in the guise of looking for palliatives and all that. So we have to condemn what has happened. Yes, our government also behaved badly by not distributing these things on time to people. But it has to be said that there's no religion, no true religion encourages the looting in whatever form.
Now let's go to the police now. They seem to, be helpless. We have 16 police stations were said to be burnt in Lagos. 13 others vandalized, looted, and 6 officers killed. I'm sure this figure does still compiling this, because it was like a direct target on the police force. Right now, it's as if the police are on strike. You hardly find them, as the way you see them in strategic corners before and everything. So if you have an emergency now, it's like you're on your own.
Well, you see, this thing started as SARS, right? Before these so-called hoodlums and miscreants took over the whole protest. Now, let's look at who a miscreant or hoodlum is. Basically, in many cases, many of them are likely to be criminals. If they are criminals, that means the police is not going to be their friend to start with. Okay, if the police are not their friends, the possibility of these people trying also to get back at the people that are their perceived enemies, very great. Now, what were they doing when they were going to those police stations? They were stealing guns. They were stealing the guns. Some of them even stole the uniform.
They were freeing their colleagues.
Yes, they were freeing their colleagues. So it's like a free-for-all. They just went there to do the bidding.
A lot of police records are gone now.
Yes, because they are just fighting for themselves. They took advantage of the situation
and
all of that, and they released them, they released their friends, and they, of course, they fought for themselves. And it's so unfortunate. That is why when we look at this thing that actually degenerated to that point, that it brings tears to one's eyes that something that was either too peaceful was allowed to degenerate to the level that at the end of the day, even the criminals are getting more and more. They are being more released into the society, and the police people are now helpless about the situation. And you can't blame any policeman from fleeing the streets. You know, it's a matter of life.
Under instruction, not
yeah, it's a matter of life. They also need to take care of themselves. It's only people that are alive that are able to provide security in the first instance.
Now, amid the incident of looting in the last few days, security operatives have not always had to rely on
force.
On this force to do whatever they want to do. But what we're looking at here is that the military assistant to the Director General of the NYC, when you see in Abuja, showed exemplary conduct in a video that has gone viral. He simply disarmed the looters by appealing to their conscience and asking officers not to open fire on hoodlums at the NYC camp where the incidents actually occurred. Let me show you that clip.
National Youth Service Corps, the camp.
Wait now. No, wait.
Yes. People as students.
Yes, sir.
Now this belongs to youth corps members. Some of you are graduates.
Yes, of course.
Some of you are going to live here to serve. Yes. This thing you are looting belongs to them. This is their food. This is their kids. Now you're stealing them. Can they come and serve?
No.
You are graduates. Before you become a leader in this country, you have to go as NYC. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you close this place down, can you become a leader?
No.
People are inside that place stealing. I call it stealing. Now, when you're giving government appointments, what are you going to do? Please, let's look at ourselves first. What have I done myself? What have I done myself? Before you start looting, that belongs to the corps members, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins. You are looting their kids, they are looting their food. Can they serve? Some of you are good and potential corps members. Why do you want to spoil your name, for heaven's sake? Nigeria belongs to all of us.
Yes, sir.
It's quite bad.
Yes, sir. You're right, sir.
It's quite bad. If you at your age of 18, 19, 20, 21, 25, you are looking there. If you are giving commissioner of police, commissioner of education, you are minister, what are you going to do, for heaven's sake, with the money given to you? Please, let's cooperate with the security personnel. Yes, sir. Yes,
The officers, Major Rufai Ali, that it should be commended, Babaji,
Yes,
the way he spoke with the protesters, the very amicable way.
It just shows that the Nigerian army has some exemplary officers who show respect to the civil populace, who know that it's not in all cases that you can use force.
Force, yes. Dialogue.
At the beginning of that footage, he was restraining the his men who were advancing towards the looters, and he told them, no, stay there, let me talk to them. This was the second wave of looters. The first set of looters attacked the NYC secretariat, looted mattresses and all. So it's the second wave that he had to deal with. And then he told them the plain truth. Many of you are educated. Why do you want to spoil your name by looting? So it's not in all cases that you must use force to achieve what you want. We talked about the case of the DPO I'm talking about the one in Anambra.
Okay.
Because they were baying for blood. They had been burning police stations all around. But they got to his police station, he addressed them. And this is a DPO who had sunk boreholes in the community. The moment he came out, they saw that he was the one. They said, no, we cannot burn this police station. And then they left. What Major Aliu did is exemplary, and this is what we expect from our army officers, not simply torturing people, frog jumping people. There are times when you need to talk sense into their brains.
And to cooperate.
Yes, and immediately finished talking, you can see that they hailed him. And they were saying, if any of you pick up any stone here to stone these soldiers, we're going to kill you here and nothing will happen. They began even fighting among themselves. So was able to disarm them without firing a shot. I mean, that's the sort of officer that I'm proud of.
Coming from the heels of what happened in Lekki, that a lot of people still perceive, when you talk about the military, that everything has to do with force. But this is
so it means that basically what we see is what we put in. Do you get it? It means that even as we look at these people as hoodlums, as miscreants, it means that day to day are also human beings, and that they can also think and reason depending on the way of approach. I am imagining if the Lekki event, if, for instance, there were officers like Major Aliu now that led that, even though there is still a controversy or whatever, you can imagine if somebody like that led the team to that place and spoke to these youths without firing. We are not likely to be in the situation that we are in right now. Yeah. I think, you know, the other time when we started, I talked about communications, that people, you know, our leaders communicating with us. Communication is very important. And the way we communicate is the way that we will be perceived. Definitely, he has shown us that, you know, even looters can actually reason when they have the right communication, and that is commendable.
DKB.
Well, I understand that psychology is a major component of officers' training, both in the military and the police. And this has been shown by officers like the one in Anambra, like the one you are showing now, or even been shown in Lagos by the RRS commander. It depends on the way you approach people, basically. We've been so dehumanized, especially because of the long period of military rule, that common decency is seen as a sign of weakness by those who rule us. And that, to me, is the danger that we face. Just like expected there, you can see that if you show leadership and you show respect, they will reciprocate. Because they are human beings as well. And if you treat them like human beings, they will treat you as a human being. But the first thing you do is to ensure that you talk down on them, that you make sure they feel bad, and then you show them that you are the one in power. Of course, there is a mob. Somebody somewhere will come from the behind and deal with you. So what we need to do now is let officers, those who control men, show more restraints in issues of this nature. then maybe the violence will go down naturally.
All right. The Nigerian army says Lagos government invited it to intervene in NSAS crisis as the force denies shooting protesters at Lekki. This reaction from the army comes at a time when Lagosians are yearning to have the police return to Lagos route. Babajide, there's been this back and forth, and we'll just be brief on it because already there's a panel that's been set up, and you know, it's an ongoing thing. But this revelation from the Nigerian army has given the whole narrative another twist.
New dimension.
You know, when this sort of thing happens, you hear all kinds of stories. There was an account that we read sometime last week, I think on Friday, the so-called denial by the army came out on Thursday or so. And we were told that the army denied that the people who carried out the shooting in Lekki were their men, or their officers and men. Now, what we've just been told again, what we were told yesterday, was that that story of the army claiming that those who opened fire on protesters were not their members. That statement did not emanate from the police. So it makes one from the army. It makes one all the more confused. Because all along we felt, okay, that was the first army reaction to this whole thing.
Apparently it's fake.
Yes, apparently that was fake news again. But now the army is saying that this is his first reaction to this, and that he had to react because of some of what had been reported in the news and all that, accusing the army of massacre and all that. You see, this is something that will stay with us for some time. Between the army and the Lagos state government, somebody is determined to not tell the truth. But it is important for Nigerians to know the truth. When we know the truth about what happened, we'll be able to learn from it. People make mistakes. People kill in error. But if you admit that, okay, I made a mistake, this was the mistake that I made. If you admit that you made a mistake in inviting the army, then you are most likely not, you are going to be hit, they will hit you, but you are not likely to repeat that mistake in future because you know the consequences. And we had warned against inviting the military to help quench that fire. Now, if talking about the military now, I'm trying my best to stay in the middle. The military also said that they did not fire at protesters. They need to explain in detail what then happened. If you did not fire at protesters, there were videos of people who were obviously hit, either by bullets or whatever. What happened? What kind of bullets did you use? Did you use blank bullets? Blank bullets, not likely to kill, but it can also cause bodily harm.
Rubber bullets.
What? So, between them, between the Lagos state government and the Nigerian army, we need the truth on this matter. We need them to tell Nigerians the truth. These days, I read stories. I don't know which one to believe, because I think it was even this day or one of these papers that reported that one of the spokesmen of the governor said that the governor had never denied that he invited the army. And I'm like, it was him misquoted, because you could just believe that story and later on you hear I think it was Gawat that was quoted as saying Sanwo-Olu never denied in the first place that he invited the army. You know? So, but we don't know. The governor is saying that he's going to wait for some time before he responds. I don't think that his response should take too long, because the longer it takes, the more Lagosians will think that, look, he has something to hide, that he does not want to say the truth that is indicted on this matter. And I also want to think, my wish is that even the panel would not stay so long like Justice Salami's panel.
That's right.
They should be able to get to the root of this matter so that we can learn from it and Lagos can totally heal.
They should not walk to the answer.
Even some people, some of the eyewitnesses, you know, we don't know. This is the era of fake news. They say they saw dead bodies and the military actually took the dead bodies, and the military are saying now, they're saying now that they didn't kill anybody.
Now, look, from what Babajide has said now, let's look at this thing carefully. The first time the military said they never went there. Whether that was fake or genuine, I don't know. But they never also came out to say that it was fake news.
At that time.
At that time. So which means that that statement came from them. Now, when the governor also came out to say nobody was injured initially. Then later he said, okay, some people were injured, but nobody died. Eventually, he came to say that one person died. At another time, he said 2 casualties, right? Then the governor now said that they went around the hospitals in Lagos and found out that some people were actually injured, gunshot injuries now, which means that the governor is confirming that there were actually gunshots and that there were actually soldiers based on the video clips that we saw all around. Now, I think this is now insulting the sensibility of Nigerians to say that to still be passing the buck between the state government and the military at this point in time. It is bad enough that we witnessed what we did at the Lekki toll gate. I think the way forward is for everyone to just come clean. Come clean. Come clean. If mistakes could be made.
It's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. But when we are still at the stage of people not accepting their mistakes, it means that it can happen again and again.
Okay, we quickly go on this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. We're still journalists and guys. We'll be right back.